Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Tomb Raider Underworld walkthrough. It's time to head to coastal Thailand, because that's where Natla told us to go. And apparently we will find something here. Now before we head in, we get to select our costume. Now if you were just playing the game normally, you would just have jungle shorts and jungle pants at this moment in time. However, because I downloaded all the DLC, I have a great variety of options. Although I have to say they really should have thought a little bit more carefully than to provide so many bikinis. Because while I'm sure there are quite a number of male gamers who would happily buy, well, male and female gamers who would happily buy the game and that DLC, well, even though the DLC was free, to see Lara in her underwear. It's not really conducive to exploring. But we are going to go with a more classic Lara look with the short shorts, because it's very Lara.
But if Father did explore this site, I see no sign of it yet.
I still don't see how Thailand is connected to Vikings, or ruins under the meta. Hell, even Avalon for that matter.
Helheim's it. Various myths use different names, but they all apply to the same remnants of the ancient world.
One of those remnants is still alive. I would hate to be Amanda if Natla ever gets free.
I would hate to be any of us.
And so here we are in the incredibly beautiful coastal Thailand. I mean, it's just stunning. And really, I think one of the things that was very, very, very highly praised in the reviews of Tomb Raider Underworld were its visuals. I mean, generally it received pretty okay reviews, they're mostly positive. Specifically the 360 PC and PS3 versions, because, you know, they're the actually good versions. And a lot of critics actually compared it to older titles in the series. I think the general thoughts about Underworld now are that, well, is that Anniversary was better. I think in the grand scheme of things, Underworld is superior. It's just that in terms, well, the fact that it has no boss fights at all throughout the entirety of the game, and the few issues that I will bring up as we go through, just do drop it from being the best it could possibly be. So Games Radar commented that it does what made the original great and adds a considerable facelift. And The Guardian said, when you get stuck into Tomb Raider Underworld, it swiftly becomes clear that it is designed to appeal to a generation of gamers, surely now in their 30s, who grew up with Tomb Raider and fell in love with Lara's attributes and attitude. And yeah, the environments were really, really widely praised, and quite a lot of that praise was also given to Lara's motion captured movements, because I think for the first time in the series they had I think it was an Olympic gymnast come in to do motion capture for them. And yes, Olympic gymnast and NCAA women's gymnastics champion Heidi Moneymaker. That's the model that they used for the motion capturing, and apparently Lara has over 2,000 animations. And as I said, I do think that actually, in the end, Tomb Raider Underworld is better animated than the Tomb Raider reboot, and it's particularly noticeable in the cutscenes. Or at least maybe the cutscenes that just look better animated, because in the reboot, the motions are very stiff and wooden, and it's just a little bit, like, the arms in particular, like there's a moment where she's holding the bow, and it just looks so wooden. And it's the same with the face. The facial animation was really quite shoddy, actually. So I don't quite know what happened between Underworld and the reboot, because some of their, even though like they were kind of really highly saying that the animation was great, I'm not too keen. Also the fact that the gameplay is much less linear, that was praised, but there was criticism of the haywire camera angles, and that is definitely a very, very, very valid complaint, as you will see numerous times throughout this walkthrough. Oh my good god, the camera sometimes. And also the slightly dodgy combat system. IGN did praise some of the combat improvements, like the ability to aim at 2 enemies at once and the sticky bombs, but the combat is a bit dodgy. IGN did also describe the game as enjoyable, specifically for the puzzles, the exploration and the graphics, and they liked that the quick-time events were replaced with adrenaline moments. And Games Radar also highly praised the exploration element. And Nintendo Power and Games Radar also praised the game's platforming elements. So despite the camera issues and the weak combat, critics generally described it as good as Tomb Raider has ever been, and the Tomb Raider we've been waiting for. Unfortunately, that didn't quite follow through into sales, because Tomb Raider kind of died after this for a couple of years. Now, obviously, there is the Wii and PS2 versions, which got very, very, very negative reviews. Like, they were really bad. Also, I'll come back to this in a second, but I'm about to get, well, would be about to get the final Swan Diver achievement, because you get it for jumping off of this ledge right here. Now, because this is the last Swan Diver achievement, you can technically save at the top there after you've hit the checkpoint, and then just once you've jumped down, load your save. But I'm just going to do the climb back up because it's not that long. So yes, moving back to the review situation for Underworld, and specifically the Wii and PS2 versions. So IGN said that the Wii version is not a bad game, but the whole thing has been oversimplified and dumbed down. The Wii puzzles are a joke, the combat is almost non-existent, and the game is pretty short. And GameSpot added that it can be an enjoyable adventure, but it's marred by bugs, camera issues, and ill-conceived Wii extras. While the PS2 version was called an embarrassment to the franchise by IGN. And basically saying that it was such a poor conversion that it shouldn't have ever been released, because it's full of bugs, linear play that discourages exploration, and non-existent combat. It feels as though it's part of the series in name and main character only. Now, what's ever so slightly very dodgy, prior to the game's release, Eidos attempted to prevent any reviews rating the game at less than 8 out of 10 from appearing, with an Eidos spokesman stating, "The brand manager in the US that's handling all of Tomb Raider has asked that we just manage the scores before the game is out, really just to ensure that we don't put people off buying the game, basically." Which is just... oh god, that is so dodgy. But having said that, Tomb Raider Underworld did receive a BAFTA nomination in 2009, and Eric Lindstrom and Toby Gard received a nomination for the WGAW's Video Game Writing Award for Underworld Story. And I'd say in the grand scheme of things, it's actually pretty good, and pretty damn clever, and also, I think for what is arguably the first time in the series, they actually get their mythology correct, or at least reasonably correct. Because obviously in Anniversary they had the whole Greek gods thing going on at one point, and that was just all wrong, because they had Thor in it at one point, and then they had to change it, because obviously it wasn't Thor, because Thor's Norse. And then Legends was reasonably okay on its Arthur stuff, but it wasn't perfect. So this is probably the first time that the mythology's been reasonably correct. Now, sales-wise, I'm just going to keep doing this throughout, getting confused between Legends, Anniversary and Underworld. Anyway, Underworld only sold 1.5 million copies as of the 31st of December 2008. And that was announced on the 9th of January 2009. So basically, it failed to meet sales expectations, which I have to say is a little bit ridiculous, because that's like just over a month after the game came out worldwide. And to prove that point, by the 27th of February 2009, so just over a month later, Eidos announced that the game had sold around 3.5 million copies worldwide. And on 8th of May 2009, Ian Livingston, who's the president of Eidos Interactive at that time, he's now kind of, I think, just a really well-respected member of the games industry in the UK. And I'm pretty sure he's had involvement in something in my hometown, but my memory of it's slightly... memory of the information's slightly dodgy. Either way, basically, he said that Underworld had met the target expectations, and it was then later released as part of Xbox Classics and PS3 Platinum range, and then it was also re-released in the PS3 Trilogy Collection. So it did pretty well in the grand scheme of things, but I guess it's kind of the start, or at least part of the whole thing of Tomb Raider not living up to sales expectations. Because obviously the reboot had exactly the same issue, which is why they then released the definitive edition to try and gain back some of their investment. But, oh dear. Now, seeing as we are running around Thailand, let's have a little look at the Wikipedia page for Thailand to kind of find some lovely little information stuff to discuss. Because we are going to be running around here for a little while, although I think we are about to enter into a combat situation. And indeed we are. It's time to kill an endangered species! Yay! Because here we go, there's some tigers. And they are dangerous. So make sure to be dodging out the way a lot. I'm very glad I picked up that health potion, because otherwise this could have ended really, really, really badly. The spear gun is very, very, very useful. Like, really insanely useful, so do make sure to have it equipped, because it kills these things so quickly. Anyway, now that that's rather stressful moment is done. Back to Thailand. So, obviously, it is at the centre of the Indokina Peninsula in Southeast Asia, bordered to the north by Burma and Laos, to the east by Laos and Cambodia, and to the south by the Gulf of Thailand and Malaysia, and to the west by the Andaman Sea and the southern extremity of Burma. And we're actually going to be spending a surprising amount of time in this, or at least we will be returning to this area of the world a little bit later on. Specifically the Andaman Sea, because that is the name of one of the levels. So it has a monarchy, headed by King Bhumibol Adulyadej Rama IX, and is governed by a military junta that took power in May 2014. So the king is the 9th of the House of Chakri, and has reigned since 1946 as the world's longest-serving current head of state, and the country's longest-reigning monarch. So, yeah, Queen Elizabeth II of England is about 6 years short of that, which just goes to show you quite how long he's been reigning. So its primary religion is Buddhism, which is a pretty cool religion, I have to say. It's... I like the whole enlightenment thing that they have going on. It's just generally a quite peaceful religion, or at least that's the general perception of it. So Thailand is the world's 51st largest country and the 20th most populous country in the world, with around 66 million people, which is terrifyingly close to the population of the UK, although that might have increased when I wasn't paying attention. Also, that was so close. If I hadn't caught onto that ledge, I would have died. Plain and simple. There is no way I was going to survive that if I didn't grab that. Oh dear. Now, there is so much information on Wikipedia, as there generally is. I mean, it's insane. But something that you will probably not be too impressed with Lara about is that, well, tigers are native to Thailand, but poaching of them, along with leopards and other large cats, is a massive problem. Because they are protected species, so technically Lara's killing protected species. I mean, really, she should just be using tranquilizer darts. And there is the option to do so, should you wish, but I'd rather just use the spear gun. It gets rid of them quicker. Also, if ever you see a crossfade from anything in this run, it's basically because I died or was just running around doing nothing like a numpty for a ridiculous amount of time. Because really I want to try and provide you with a nice smooth run of Tomb Raider Underworld, as I attempted to do with Legend and Anniversary. And thankfully I didn't die nearly as much here as I did in Legend and Anniversary, because really, well, Underworld is pretty easy in the grand scheme of things. There are a couple of difficult jumps, but nothing that horrendous. But there are quite a few moments where I did die, but I've cut all of that out, so you don't have to suffer. And I don't know why they decided to let us know about the headshots now, considering, you know, it would have been nice to know when we were in the combat on Amanda's ship. But, no, they wouldn't tell us. So basically here we get introduced to the headshot. So what you do is when your adrenaline meter is full, so it's yellow, you have to run up to your opponent, press the left trigger, I think it is, or something along those lines, and then you will leap off of its head, and then you've just got to move the reticle to its head. There's generally a little marker appears, and when the reticle overlaps with the marker, fire away and you get your headshot, and they die instantly. I feel really bad that I'm killing all these tigers, but they need to die because they're trying to kill me. At least I'm not slaughtering ancient T-Rexes that many scientists would have loved to experiment on and learn about, because, you know, dinosaurs existing in our time, obviously it's not real, but if ever scientists found living dinosaurs, that would be an amazing discovery. Like, just, it would be mind-blowing. Be about as mind-blowing as if we found life on another planet. Or if in general we found, well, aliens appeared on Earth. It'd just be like, oh my good god. Now, I mean, I haven't really said too much about the music at this point. I mean, it's pretty damn good. But you wouldn't quite always... Well, you will notice it, but generally it's not that... how should I put this? It's very much in line with the anniversary school of music. Because it's more pieces that play one time at specific events and musical fragments, which is very similar to the first 5 games of the Tomb Raider series and obviously Anniversary. There's far less constant music than there was in Legend. But what's important to note is that while Truls Brun-Folman composed the main theme of the game and was the music supervisor for Underworld, I'm pretty sure he did most of the stuff in Anniversary and Legends, Colin O'Malley is the one who scored the bulk of the music in Underworlds. So it's purely orchestral in style, which is quite cool. And in addition to all the gameplay music, there's only 10 tracks that appear on a limited edition DVD soundtrack thingy. So I'm assuming they must have done something very similar to what they did with Anniversary. I don't have that, unfortunately, so I can't show it off to you. But in the theatrical trailer, which is basically the opening for the game, they used the third movement, Lacrimosa, from Mozart's Requiem in D minor. Also, oh, what a glitch. Yeah, Underworld is a slightly glitchy game. Thankfully, the Tomb Raider fanbase is surprisingly amazing at locating all of these bugs and finding workarounds. Because, like, on the guide that I use, like, all of the bugs are noted, and it's just like, if you want to avoid it, save at this point, and then come back to it if not, because you won't be able to beat the game otherwise, and so on and so forth. Like, they are on it at the Tomb Raider fanbase, which kind of makes the whole Rise of the Tomb Raider debacle even more despicable, because Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix and Microsoft basically kind of treated the fanbase like dirt by feeding them all the rubbish of how the game is going to be better because it's Xbox exclusive for a period that we're not going to tell you. That whole debacle's just PR disaster. Also, I am being a complete numpty here, because what I really should be doing is chimney jumping from this wall here to there we go. So yeah, basically, whenever Lara kind of slightly sticks to a wall, it's kind of a, I think, impossible movement to do in reality. Pretty sure. But when you do that kind of jumping, basically a wall jump, it is called a chimney jump. Because it's like you're climbing up a chimney, or jumping up a chimney, shall we say. But either way, we have, after we've killed all these spiders, of which there are a ridiculous amount, we have pretty much gotten to the end of this particular bit of Thailand. And it is time for us to head into the next mission part. I'm not quite sure what to describe them as, but oh well.
The characters are Vedic Sanskrit. They're severely weathered. Bhagavati of the 7th. It must be referring to the capital of Patala, the lowest infernal world in Hindu tradition. It's a netherworld populated by snake people, although the enlightened one, Narada, spoke rather fondly of it. That's Shiva on top, and his mistress Kali is down below.